Good morning or good afternoon. I would like to welcome everyone to today's program, Cisco Smart Call Connector. We're glad to have you with us. A few housekeeping notes to begin. As you entered the WebEx console, you either joined us by audio broadcast or by phone, which was automatically muted. Because of our large audience in attendance today, you will remain muted throughout the event. When you have a question, please feel free to enter it into the WebEx Q&A panel as you think of them. You can find the Q&A panel in the bottom right-hand corner of the console. Please leave the WebEx chat window for communication to the WebEx facilitator for any problems or issues you may be experiencing today. We would appreciate your input regarding today's webcast. A short survey will appear when you close your browser at the end of the event. At this time, I'd like to pass it over to our host for today, Dan Gerson. Dan?
Thank you. Hello and welcome everyone to the Cisco Support Community. Today we present a live Cisco Support Community Expert Series webcast. Our topic today, Cisco Smart Call Connector, CTI, Collaboration, and Desktop Integration. My name is Dan Gerson, and I will be moderating today's event. Our expert joining me today is Shahriyar Talukder. Shahriyar has led the development team that has provided the Smart Call Connector suite of unified communication solutions for the UC500 and CME ISR. Shahriyar has been working on unified communications, collaborations, and mobility solutions for more than 15 years. He's been a speaker at seminars, presented numerous webcasts, and conducted training for Cisco Technical Assistance Centers, as well as the Cisco partners, and has worked with the Cisco business units in defining the technical and product specifications for the collaboration and mobility solutions for the small business space. Shahriyar has represented his company in the standard bodies for ISDN and 802. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering from King's College, University of London, and a Master of Science degree in Computing and Controls from Imperial College, also University of London. Welcome, Shahriyar. Our expert panelists today are Sunny Huang, Larry Chong, and Naveen Albert. They will help in answering some of your technical questions today during the event. Now I'd like to briefly outline the format for today's Expert Series event. Our expert will start with a presentation on Cisco Smart Call Connector for the first hour of the program, and then we will provide answers to webinar's question of what does Cisco Smart Call Connector and London 2012 Olympic Games have in common. So stay tuned for that. After that, we'll dive into the live question submission from the audience for the remainder of the event. During our live presentation, you may submit your technical questions to be answered by our expert and a team of Cisco technical experts using the Q&A box on the right side of the console. The team of technical experts is well versed in Cisco Smart Call Connector, so please begin posting your questions now to give us the best chance of answering them. If you experience any technical issues, please post those questions into the chat. We're going to start today off with a polling question. And we'll get to that polling question in just 1 second. I wanted to quickly mention that you can download today's PDF presentation using the chat, using the link that will be provided into the chat window. Now, let's get started with today's event, and let's get started with that polling question. What areas would you like this talk to cover in greater detail? A, overview of the Call Connector Suite and UC500 CTI. B, more details on UC500 CTI interface. C, a demo of Call Connector Advanced Client. D, a demo of Call Connector Operator Console. Or E, how to set up and configure the Call Connector solution. Go ahead and answer on the right side. Again, please do submit your questions now so the team of technical experts can begin to answer them, and then we'll also save those for the Q&A portion toward the end of the event. I'd like to hand the mic over to our expert today, who will give you his advice on Cisco Smart Call Connector. Shahriyar?
Thank you so much for attending. I really appreciate your presence. This talk is going to be focused on the CTI collaboration and desktop integration using the Smart Call Connector Suite as an example. So we will talk a little bit about on the user or customer side in terms of the value proposition that these solutions provide, including some of the key benefits associated with the CTI or collaboration applications. Look at some of the issues, not issues, but facilitators for delivering the solution, where you get the information, where the resources are, and focus on the demonstrations for the application. So I'm going to be guided by the answers to your question in terms of which areas to focus on in more detail. And once the results come through, I will relay them to you. So the first topic is the computer telephony integration options that are available from the UC500 platform. And these interfaces provide the integration facilities to the desktop. The Cisco UC500 platform provides an external third-party call control interface, but it is specifically for the SCCP or the skinny phones. Call control interface is not available for the SID phones. There is a CSDA solution options that has some set of functionality. So the primary call control interface available from the UC500 is for the SCC phones. The way it works is that from the platform, when a phone is connected using the skinny call control protocol, there is an option to have an additional control session established. And for this particular control session, there can be only one session. So if someone else tries to register, that control session is replaced with a new session. There are drivers available in the Windows environment. These drivers are called the telephony API or the telephony service provider, and this allows Windows applications to access and control phones in a standard Windows-defined method. So looking at the areas that one would like to cover, reviewing the results, some quarter of the attendees would prefer to do an overview and the CTI in more detail, and looks like 16 to 20% would like to spend more time on the details of how to set up and configure the solution, so we'll focus on those two areas. And the rest are evenly divided between the demos and details of the CTI. Okay, so that gives us a guidance in terms of what areas to focus on. The TAPI driver that is available for the UC500 platform allows Windows applications to access telephony functions in a uniform manner. TAPI is a Windows API, and it allows applications to access the desktop, to access the UC500 CTI phones. So it's available both for 32-bit as well as 64-bit Windows operating systems. I have added a link here for you to download the application. Now, since it's a standard Windows API, there are quite a large number of applications that are already enabled to use TAPI. I have some examples of those identified here, including Microsoft Outlook, ACT, the Smart Call Connector Toolbar, MS Dialer, Microsoft Dialer. There are applications for Salesforce and MS Dynamics as well that use the TAPI driver. So TAPI driver then is a freely available download. It provides a call control interface for the skinny or the smart call control, the SCCP phones, and it is available and usable across a large range of Windows applications. Okay, so now looking at the Smart Call Connector Suite itself, the Smart Call Connector Suite uses this CTI interface, and there are actually three different application components. One is a toolbar, which is provides basic click-to-dial, hold, resume functions from within Outlook and IE. It is a freely downloadable component, and these software can all be found at cisco.com/go/smartcallconnector. The next product is an operator console solution. Operator consoles provide a answering service for the main receptionist or the main answering position. It is a tool to help bring productivity to the entire organization. And then the last product is the advanced client, which requires a server, and it is for the users in the business and provides productivity benefits. It is the collaboration and presence tool available for the UC500 platform. A quick note on Smart Call Connector versus the Unified Call Connector. There are two Call Connector solutions. One is for Smart Call Connector is for the UC500 platform, and the Unified Call Connector, which essentially has the same functionality, is for the CME on ISR platform. So there are two different sets of SKUs, and two different product names. The primary reason is to allow support to be directed to the small business support, STAC, or to the multi-service stack. Okay. An overview of the system of the Smart Call Connector system. The clients are installed on users' PCs, and these PCs and desktops are associated with the user's phones. The clients connect using a SIP protocol to the Smart Call Connector server. The server can be installed in one of the business's machines on premise, and the server essentially makes the connections to the UC500, and it contains the databases, and it contains the configuration information. So the administration is done from the server. The clients access information from the server, and connections to the UC500 and to telephony and presence status also come from the server. The call control is done from the UC500 itself, and the interface between the Smart Call Controller server and the UC500 uses the CTI or the SCCP control interface that we talked about earlier. The Smart Call Connector solution has different applications for different sets of users. So the advanced client is for the users in the business, and what it provides is unified communication that integrates the telephony functions on the IP phone with the desktop applications and the UC applications that are on the desktop. These include directory services, unified messaging, instant messaging and presence, a click-to-dial functionality, integration with Outlook, and integration with the IP phone. For the business itself, for the organization, we provide the operator console to direct and provide interface to the callers in the business who call into the business, and it is optimized for the main answering position in terms of providing advanced call control, queuing of calls, a quick directory search, viewing telephone status and presence across the organization. So solutions for the end users, solutions for the main business in terms of the operator and the operator positions and the receptionist positions. The enabling technology is the Call Connector server. Okay. So the benefits are, why would business users want the Call Connector solution to provide easy access to unified communication from the desktop, productivity gains by allowing users to leverage the information that's in their desktop applications, Outlook, Windows applications, including web pages. For telephony functionality, see who is calling, be able to access telephony features from the PC, be able to see who's in the office and who is available, and therefore be able to pick the right kind of communication methods. For example, send instant messages, or if they are available online, or if they are not at work, to be able to send them text messages, for example. So these functions are enabled through the features that are available on the Smart Call Connector, through the Smart Call Connector Suite. Okay. So let's look at some of the drivers that lead to requiring these solutions. Communication devices and applications have been proliferating for many years. Typically, users have 3 or 4 devices, and it is people are out of office, they are traveling, people are increasingly mobile, and the coworkers really have a difficult time connecting with their colleagues. It's a hit and miss for reaching coworkers, and the result for the business is delays and loss of productivity, and this affects the profitability of the organization. You also would see that the competitors are going with an application-first strategy. I just highlighted a couple of application from a couple of competitors. ShoreTel, essentially ShoreTel highlights and leads with instant messaging, advanced application, collaboration, and presence. And we see Avaya is now calling itself a collaborations company. Collaboration across any device, desktop, mobile, etc., is a key value proposition offered to customers. So from a competitive perspective, collaboration, unified communication is what end users and customers are looking for. The most used voice applications that are requested by the customers include instant messaging and presence, unified messaging, directory services, click-to-dial. One thing I didn't add was mobility services is obviously number 1 on the list as well. So additional reasons for leading with applications is that it generates additional revenue for the partner. If the partner does not make apps an issue, then the competitors will, as we see with ShoreTel and Avaya. It does become a competitive lockout, so if you have the applications that people are using, they are reluctant to give that up and learn something totally new. So it locks in the Cisco UC500 solution against competitive positioning. It accelerates sale to users of older technology. It can provide that tipping point to persuade users to move to the newer unified communication IP-based solution. And it rounds out the unified communication story for the UC5. The whole argument becomes much more powerful. You can lead with the sale with apps that customers want. So IM and presence available from the advanced client and the operator. Unified messaging, again, available from the advanced client. Directory services are available from all the Smart Call Connector components. And certainly click-to-dial is a key aspect of the solution. So unified communication for the UC500 leverages the Smart Call Connector Suite to deliver collaboration, CTI, and desktop integration. We'll now look at each of these components in a little bit more detail. The Smart Call Connector Operator is an operator console for the UC500 series. It was specifically designed for providing rapid call handling, integrated messaging and contact management for operators, attendants, and administrators. It can be deployed in a single position or in multiple positions. It's very customizable, so you can set it up to be adaptable and configured for the individual business needs. There's a graphical interface for queues. It includes directories that can be searched very quickly, integrates presence status and telephone status. So it's essentially oriented and optimized for operator console and main answering positions or receptionist positions of an organization. So the operator console is a Windows-based application that controls an IP phone. In other words, it does require an IP phone and is integrated with directory, call queues, telephone status, and messaging. Partners can define call queues for the customer and define priorities for them, provide greeting text, and have a visual display of calls that are hold or are waiting to be answered. Calls can be answered with a single button press or a click. They can select, enter some keywords and find people in the organization, view the telephone status of people in the organization, and if they're not available, be able to send text and instant messages to them. So it's all integrated into one interface, makes it available and highly productive for the operators. This is what the operator console looks like. I won't go into the details here, but actually focus on the different components in the demo that will come up shortly. A few minutes on the deployment options for the operator. You can have a single position without any other other components. This single position, we call it the primary position, allows one additional operator client to be connected to it. We call that the backup position. If you need multiple operator positions, you require the CallConnector server, and in that case, situation, from 5 to 10 operator positions can be set up to work with the server. There are solutions for both 32 and 64-bit Windows environments, and integrated with the Outlook contacts to allow searching of the Outlook information. Each client requires its own license and is delivered via email through the delivery system, and each position also requires an IP phone. This needs to be a Cisco Smart Skinny Call Control Protocol phone, an SCCP phone. Note that SIP phones are not supported. So that's an overview of the operator console. Moving on to the advanced client and the server. The server is a back-end component that provides connection to the UC500. It provides telephone status, presence, control of IP phones, directories. So it's essentially a critical component, but it's not visible to the end users. It supports the advanced client and the operator console clients, and it is set up to allow ease of installation and synchronization with the UC500. Multiple sites can be supported, up to 250 users maximum, and again, can be run on virtual machine environments, VMware, or the Microsoft Virtual PC. The advanced client is a desktop application. Again, I will go over this in more detail during the demo itself, and it includes integration with Outlook and IE toolbars so that if you're in Outlook or IE, you have access to all your unified communication services without having to leave the application. There are multiple directories, including the Outlook directory, access to all the telephony functions, including multiple lines, visual voicemail so that you can view your voice messages and be able to answer them in any order, listen to them on the PC. It includes text messaging for internal and external partners. For external partners, it uses XMPP protocol and connects to XMPP-compatible servers, such as Facebook and Google Talk. So, again, a very rich collaboration client for all the users in a business. Looking now at some of the delivery options, I've identified the SKUs. So there are SKUs for the operator, for the server, and the advanced client. Note that the server includes a set of 8 seats of the advanced client, and then for additional seats, you would basically get sets of 8 advanced client licenses. Support SKUs are there available for each of the product SKUs. Here is an example of simple configurations. A small system with less than 8 users, you would essentially need one server component and the related support. For operator position 1 or 2, you need 1 or 2 operator licenses. A system with operators and less than 24 users, for example, you would need 1 server, 2 advanced client sets giving you a 16 plus the 8 that comes with the server. And for the operator position, you need a separate license for the operator. And so on, it continues on with this model. So at this point, we are going to switch to a demonstration of the application. So I am going to share my desktop, and there we are. Okay. We will first start with the advanced client. So this is what the advanced client looks like. It is, again, a Windows application that can be minimized, and in that case, it is away from the desktop. And if you bring it up to the surface, it shows up. You can readjust the size, etc. At the top, you can set the presence. So it says I'm logged in as Sean Tuner, and I'm presenting at the ATE as the expert session. You can set your work preferences. So, for example, you could say I'm working from home. You can change your presence information by saying that, oh, I'm available. In that case, the presence information gets updated, and everyone in the organization who is using the advanced client or the operator console application will be able to see the updated presence. So if we look for Sean, just type in SH, and you see that Sean Tuner is available, and there is no away message. So if you wanted to leave an away message, you could say enter, and it shows up for everyone. Okay. Below the presence area is a tab section which shows directories. The directories include presence. They also include telephone status. So if I were to dial a number, so let me go ahead and call Sean on 1277. And you notice that the call comes in and it is ringing. You get an incoming pop-up at the bottom of the screen. Calls can, if the application was minimized, then, oh, it went away. Let me try and call again. Redial. The pop-up comes up. It shows you who is calling. You can click to answer. The call is connected. And if we go back to the application, we see in the connected status. Now, I wanted to show you the telephone status information. It shows up in this column, and it indicates that Sean is on a call right now. And if someone needs to talk to them, then perhaps they can use instant messaging. To use instant messaging, you essentially click on the floating button. It says I cannot chat with myself. That does make sense. Open up the window and say, the message is sent, and you can open up multiple IM sessions. So I can, for example, talk to multiple people. When in the IM session, presence information, telephone status, escalation options to call, email, text, as well as an ability to send files are all included in this IM client. So it's a very rich and very functional IM client. So in terms of call control, it shows up at the bottom of this window. You can essentially do all the key features that are available on the IP phone. Multiple lines, shared appearances, feature buttons, access to features by clicking on the icon or using the keypad. Right-click gives access to the context-based messages. And you can put the call on hold, bring it back. You can transfer by drag and dropping, so I can drag and drop this to Brian, and the call has been transferred. Okay? So very simple and easy to use, supports drag and drop. The next thing to look at is its integration with Outlook. So if I bring up Outlook, you see that I am looking at the Outlook contact for this logged in user, and at the top there is a Call Connector tab, and when you access that, you have, so if you're in Outlook and you're looking at a calendar, or you're looking at email, or you're looking at at contacts, the Call Connector tab is available, and it allows you to change your presence information, to search for someone, for example, John, and for that person, you can open up and access unified communication functions from the toolbar. Call, take notes, send email, send instant message, SMS, set up task reminders, search for the telephone number in Google, etc. So easy access to unified communication functions right from the desktop. On the right of that are all the features, which include speed dial, redial. If you're on a call, then an ability to manipulate the telephony features. You can also right-click on a contact, and embedded in the Outlook menu are the functions, the telephony functions and the messaging functions for the Call Connector solution. So call alternate numbers, access features, conference, send IM text messages as if they are configured. So this is integration with Outlook. Let me show you some integration with IE. Okay. So you notice that in IE, we also have a toolbar. This is, I think, the 32-bit IE over here. And again, you can change presence, you can change your way information, you can set messages. You have access to telephony services. You can see which lines are there and if they are busy. Access more of the telephony features. But what I wanted to show you here is what we call the highlighter. If I click on the highlighter, then telephone numbers on the web page convert into links, and you can click to dial them, or you can right-click and access features associated with them. You can even convert them into speed dial or Outlook contacts. So in summary, there is integration of the advanced client Smart Call Connector solution with Windows applications that include Outlook and IE. The other thing that you might want to note is that the drag and drop option. So if the application supports drag and drop, you can drag it and drop it on a line. Oops. And it will go out and make that call to that number. Okay, I'll hang up. Didn't want to call the pizza service right now. Okay, so the next thing we'll look at is the operator console. And for that, I will go open up Window. The operator console is running in a different desktop. The operator console brings in all the required interfaces and functionality for a main answering position. On the right-hand side are the call queues. So there are two queues that have been set up, the main contact number, sales and support numbers. There are some predefined queues called for held, transferred, and park calls. And then at the top are the operators or the receptionist phones, and below is the directory. For each contact, there is we call this an action bar. It allows instant access to a number of communication services. So let me go through and an example of what an operator might do. So let's start off with a call. The operator's main number is 1259, and once the call comes in, You notice that there is a pop-up message which is invisible in this window, but the call shows up. It gives a greeting, welcome to sales and support. Click to answer. The call is answered. And if I want to transfer the call, I can drag it and drop it to a number. Let's send it to Lisa. Or I can hang up the call. Or I can do that manually. So let me repeat that function. Redial. Call comes in, answer the call, and I can search for a person. So just type in a person's name. So let's go back to John. And so you can double-click on John. You can right-click and access alternate numbers if there are any. But also notice that John is away and not available. So at that point, the operator can come down and they can send a message to John. And you can drag and drop that information into this window and send it with the messaging options that are available for John. In this case, it looks like it's IM. So I can click to send an IM and a message is sent. Alternatively, I can look at people who are available in that group. So John is in the development group, and I can look for, operators can look for members in the group, see their availability, and click on these options here, which is call available, in which case it will run through and find the first available person. So this will be Ray Allen. He is available and at work. Or you can IM the available person, or you can find a particular person and send the calls to. So an operator now is able to see who's there in that department and is able to send calls to them. Alternatively, they can search for, if we go back to the action window, they can send the call to the user's voicemail. Let's find someone who has, you notice that John John Dement has instructions to send calls to the mobile. Okay, so hanging up the call and returning now to the Call Connector server. The server, here I have the configuration manager for the Call Connector server. What we will do is come back to this later in the presentation and talk about how a solution can be set up. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing and go back to the presentation. Oh, okay. So we are actually going to a server demo soon. The Call Connector server is a set of applications that run on a server machine. These include configuration utilities and database bases. These applications connect to the UC500 or the CME, and they maintain a database of the CME configuration, the user information, and the directory data. And they also maintain users' presence, availability information. The telephone status is obtained from the UC500 or the CME based on radius messages that the UC500 can be configured to set up. And the call controller server acts as the radius server and receives those messages and translates that into telephone status for the user's phones. And as I mentioned, it includes 8 advanced client licenses. So if you have operator consoles, you need separate operator console licenses. Here are some of the key server components: the database server, call controller, which connects to the UC500, presence server, which provides the telephone status and maintains presence information, IM server for peer-to-peer chat, and a SIP server because the overall system is based on SIP, and it is a registrar and a tracker for error recovery, etc. There are 2 configuration applications. One is called the Configuration Manager, and this is the main interface through which the Call Connector solution is configured. and I'll go into a demo of this in some detail. And the CTI Service Manager is another application that can be used to stop and start services. The Configuration Manager, just as an overview, includes tabs for different sections of the interface, a toolbar for each of the tabs, a area. So the interface is like an Outlook style. So there is a folder area to the left, and then the main panels to the right of that. So here is the tabbed area for the sections or types of different configuration, the folders that allow you to select within that section different areas, and then for each one you can select an item, and for that item you have the configuration panel. Okay? So the CTI Service Manager is a little application that allows you to stop and start services. Clients supported by the server are the advanced client, the operator console, and the unified call connector personal clients. Deployment modes for the server include, for a single CME ISR with less than 8 clients, you need a single server. More than 8 clients, you need the server, plus you would need licenses for the additional clients. If you have servers and operator, then you need sufficient clients for the advanced client, a license per operator. If you have multiple UC500s, for example, in different sites, then the same single server can connect to those external UC500s in different sites. Okay. Here's an overview of the support available for multiple routers. Up to 5 UC500s, overall up to 250 users. Telephone status availability and location is available and displayed across all locations. Each router has to be provisioned on the Call Connector server. And okay, so we now go into the demo of the server. Here I will run through the configuration setup for the advanced client and the server and the operator console. The first thing to note is that when you log in, there are sections for each of the areas of configuration: guides, license, and maintenance. So, and you can get to the individual areas by clicking on the folders for that particular section. So, for example, for license management, you would go to the licensing section, and note that there are 2 different sections. We get a lot of support calls for this particular area, so let me emphasize this a little bit. The panel that I have highlighted, which has the server, is where you would enter in the server information. So, for example, you put in the license or the PAC ID here, and then click to activate the server license. For the advanced clients only, you would use the panel to the right, which says 8 advanced client, put in the PAC ID, and activate the client license. Once you've activated the license, you can go to the user access license and see the number of users that have been configured and the number of available licenses. Okay. What I would recommend is that you use the navigation guide, navigation wizard. It opens up and takes you step by step through the configuration. So we'll run through some of the basic steps for configuring the server, and I'll use the navigation guides for that. So click Next, and it says what you have to do is download the phone configuration from the router. In order to do so, you need to put in some basic information, and this includes, let me move this window over, it includes the...
sorry to interrupt you, you're just not sharing your desktop.
I'm not?
No. We're still on the WebEx screen.
My apologies.
No problem.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, so let me back up. So this is the configuration manager for the Call Connector server, and doing an overview of the user interface. There are tab sections at the top that allow you to go to different sections of configuration. And for each of these sections, there is a folder area where you can access sub-areas within that particular configuration. So, for example, I'm looking at license management, maintenance, system status, and navigation guides. So if we go to a server and router, for example, again, we have a similar set of folders, each covering different areas of the particular configuration that you want to perform. What we are going to do is use the navigation guides to run through a configuration of the CallConnector server. The navigation guide gives you each of the steps that have to be performed, and for that step, it takes you to the, I'm going to move this navigation guide over a little bit. It takes you to the page where the configuration has to be done, and it tells you what needs to be done. So step one is download router phone configuration. And so we're going to start configuring a SCC server solution and verify that the IP address is correct. If it is incorrect, then you have to remove that particular router. So as you can see here, there are multiple UC500s and CME-ISRs configured, 3 of them in fact, and the IP address for each one shows up in this field. You can have a well-known name for that particular CME, but you need to have the telnet address, the telnet password, executive password if that is required, and for the queue, you would want to add the queue IP address and the port. Then click on the download button, and what this will do is it will basically connect to the router, the UC500, and then download all the configuration from the required configuration from that particular platform. Here we are downloading we downloaded the phones, we're downloading the ePhone DNs, and we are going to download the groups and so on. So notice that this is a fairly large system. It has over 700 ePhone DNs. It has 127 ePhones, and at this point, all that information has now been downloaded, and hunt group table, etc., is all done. So you will then be presented with a list of all the configured phones on that particular system. So let's go back to the navigation guide and see what it wants us to do next. We clicked download router configuration. Now we go next, and it says select, check, use the checkbox on the first column to select the phones that will be associated with the user. So let's go ahead and do that. And what you basically do is you click on the phones that are going to be, because there may be many phones in the system and only some of them may be CallConnector users, so you click and select them. These phones are selected both for the operators as well as the advanced client users. And once you've selected the phone, you click on Save Selected Phones, and once you do so, you will be able to see the list of selected phones for that particular router. If I go to a different router, it'll have a different set of selected phones for that particular router. So if I go to the selected phones, you see that for that particular router, UC500, I have these phones selected. Okay, let's go back to our primary router, which we just downloaded the information from, and then go back to the navigation wizard. Click on Next, and it says verify dial plan and number translation rules. U.S. in markets, that is not that much of an issue. One area that we did have run into is that for localities that require 7-digit and 10-digit numbers, you would have to configure dialing rules for that. So the dialing rules essentially includes the country, the location, the extension length, which is downloaded from the router, and the dial-out prefix. And then here you would add in If you want to see how a number is dialed, enter the number and press enter. It shows you that it will be dialed in this format. When the number comes in, it will be looked up in the database in this format, and that's the canonical format or the standard format that you would expect to see in Outlook. If you needed to add in a translation rule, here is one translation rule that has been added, and this says if the number starts with an 819, then prefix that with a 91, and this is the display pattern. So we don't have to make any changes here. We go on to the next step. The next step is, this is a significant one. Essentially, we noted earlier that radius services on the UC500 or the CME need to be set up in order to receive telephone status, and that is done through this particular interface. And what this interface tells us is that it looks at the existing routers and it tells us whether or not the radius has been properly configured. If it has not been configured, you would include the password, which is authentication key, the port from which, this is the port on the CallConnector server, and then click on Update Radius. The windows below are diagnostics tools to ensure that things have been set up correctly. Okay. We go next to the next step. We have assumed that things are set up. We now need to look at the licensing. So if you have more than 8 advanced clients, you would add the license in this particular field, the license number, and press Activate Client. And this will add in that set of licenses for the advanced client, and you will be able to see the licenses, numbers of available licenses go up. These licenses can be reserved for individuals. So, for example, this particular license has been reserved for the user Cisco, and when the user Cisco logs in, their PC name will be added to this list. And this is a list of existing users that have logged in and are using the PC, are using a license on the server. Okay, so we go back to the next step. Next step is to set up the groups. So these are the departments in the organization. You can add, modify, delete them. You can set up viewing rules if you don't want groups to be visible, their status to be visible to other parties. You can define if caller ID information is visible. Once you make changes to the group, you go to the next step, which is the users. Now, the users, this is an existing system that has been configured. You can import users by clicking on this button. It opens up an import wizard, and from here, the users can be imported from a file. They can be downloaded from the individual UC500s. They can be imported from Active Directory, or so these are the users. And then you can click Next and go through it. There is also, so let's do Next since we've done that. The next step is a key step, which is, minimize this, is to associate a user with a phone. So you notice that this particular user does not have any phone associated with it, so you would click on the user and then click on Save. So it makes an association with the user and their phone. Again, a key step. Without it, we won't have a phone associated with the user. The first tab gives you more details about that particular user. Their voicemail number you would want to prefix here, and any other directory information that you would want associated with that user. Let's go on to the next step, which is entering information in the corporate directory. So in addition to users, which are accounts that users can log in on, you can also have non-user contacts in the directory, and that can be done from this configuration area. To add in someone, click on their name and add in the fields of information. If you want more details, click on More, and it gives you the full detail. Now, operators can also make changes. Cancel. Operators can also make changes to the directory information, as well as administrators using the configuration manager. Let's do next. Once we've done that, we would then restart all services, and at that point, the configuration is done. As you notice, we have basically set up the entire Call Connector server solution in, within 10 to 15 minutes. Let me spend a few minutes on the operator console. This is an additional configuration requirement. Again, if we go to the guides and licenses, and you will see that there is a wizard for setting up a new operator position. If we open that, it will tell us that the first thing you would do is to select download, and what you have to do is to make the user an operator. So you notice here we have Amy Hardy configured as an operator, so there are different types of users. For the person to log in and use the operator console, they have to be classified as an operator user. The next thing we have to do, we go back to the wizard, is that we have to, we did that as the user as an operator, select a phone for that operator. So for Amy, we need to select an operator. So let's select, is there a phone for Amy? We'll select ePhone 14, for example, and then you click on Save to save that information. Click on Save, and it'll be confirmed that the phone has been selected. Next is you have to configure operator parameters and manage queue. So this is probably the main area of conceptual difficulty. A queue has a name. It has some attributes. It can be a local queue or a hunt group queue. A hunt group queue essentially is a queue that is associated with a hunt group in the router. And for the queue, there's a priority. If it's a local queue, you can set up busy and night routing options, the greeting text, and for the operators, you would select the extension numbers that are associated with this queue. So in addition to the queue, you would also set up, well, we're done. So you set up the queue, and we are now able to restart the services, and we are ready to go with an operator console. A couple of things that I left out is that there are some predefined queues, including the park queue, which this is a list of all the park slots in the UC500. You can select which ones will be used for the operator, and you can set priorities for the queue. Okay. So at this point, I think I am done. And to restart the services, you would come to the Setup Routers and Servers and click on the Restart All Services button, and that'll restart the services. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and go back to the presentation. And in the presentation, we, well, I should have come to the question in terms of which area of the configuration you'd like to cover in some detail. I have already gone over it. So let's go ahead and see if we want any additional items to be covered. So the areas of server configuration are overview of the server, which we have done, how to set up and add licenses. We've gone over how to set up an advanced client. We've gone over some setting up for the operators. There can also be import of contacts from Exchange and Active Directory. So I've covered these already in the demonstration. If there are some additional areas, please go ahead and answer the question. And if time permits, we can try and go back to that area perhaps during the Q&A session. So while you are answering the question, I will move forward. Submit your questions now, please. We did the server demonstration. And now we look at some of the online resources. Here are links to the support community, the Cisco.com site for information on data sheets, documentation, download of the software, and the NFR request. So I'll talk to that in just a moment. The product has trial and not for resale options. A trial license is any of the Call Connector solution can be downloaded, and if you select a 45-day trial, it will run for 45 days. This is a great way of end users finding out more about the system during the trial environment. Partners have an ability to request not for resale licenses. This is for the partner to set up demo systems and for their internal use and to gain experience. You can request a demo by sending a form that's available from this particular link. Okay. These are sites for downloading the software, and it requires a support agreement to be able to download from this link. If you do not have a support agreement, then there is a link where all the current software is available and it can be downloaded from that site. Okay. So as we mentioned that Unified Call Connector is supported by MSTAC and the Smart Call Connector is supported by STAC. The Smart Call Connector is for the UC500 and the UC 560. So looks like there is a pretty even distribution in terms of requests for what area to go over, and we have generally done that, so we will continue on. There is a support alias, cs@callconnector@external.cisco.com, and this can be used if there are general questions about the product or any other questions or issues that you may have. Let's see, moving on to the next area. This is polling question number 3, and it focuses on what you would like to see in a next session for more details. Would you like to see more details of setting up and using the Smart Call Connector solution, an overview of the mobile clients, how to set up the UC500 for mobile clients, roadmap for CTI and collaboration solutions? So if you could take a moment and answer these questions, it'll give us guidance for areas to focus on in future sessions. Okay. While you are doing that, let me... Dan, are you taking over at this point, or do I continue?
Yes, I'll take over. Thanks, Shahriyar. Okay, now we can proceed to our teaser question here. What did Cisco Smart Call Connector and the London 2012 Olympic Games have in common? And here's our answer. Cisco Smart Call Connector applications deliver a quick and easy access to unified communication from PCs and integration with Cisco IP phones. This allows users to boost their productivity and free up time to watch and enjoy the Olympic Games. You can update your colleagues with your availability and location information so they can best route the calls to you. Okay, we're going to be moving on now to our Q&A portion of today's event. Don't forget you can still submit your questions at any time to be answered by our team of experts. So please don't be shy and feel free to post some more of those questions at any point. Okay, let's get to our first question. Here we go. Do you have a SKU to upgrade these old non-Smart Call Connector customers, or do you still require buying from scratch?
I think the question relates to the Unified Call Connector personal client which is for the CME on ISR platforms, and whether there is an upgrade path and a SKU for the to the advanced client. The answer is, at this point, there is no SKU for an upgrade, but we have been relatively flexible. So, Ming, if you have some situation that require an upgrade, if you can send us a request, we can look at it on a case-by-case basis. But at this point, there is no SKU for the specific upgrade. Okay, next question.
Okay, next question here. Will I be able to use the Jabber client instead of the Smart Call Connector client?
At this point, the Jabber client is not integrated or has integration with the Call Connector solution. We would view this as a roadmap item, and I guess I would ask that you look through some of the coming roadmap items on this particular question.
Okay, let's get to our next question. Can Unified Call Connector be used for UC 500 series?
Unified Call Connector and the Smart Call Connector are basically the same product. They have different SKUs and different names because the support channel and the platforms that they address are different. So the UC 500 has the Smart Call Connector solution, and the products for those are the Toolbar Advanced Client Operator and the server. The Advanced Client Operator and the server are identical. In fact, they're the same code, only the name is different. However, the SKU and the name guide us to the support channel, which is STAC. The Unified Call Connector is for the ISR platform, for CME on ISR, and the support channel for that is the MS-TAC. Okay. Next question.
Okay. Is Smart Call Connector working also with UC 300, or is it just for the 500?
It is only for the UC 500.
Okay. Is there also a limit on Unified Call Connector client for 250 users?
That is the data sheet limit. There really isn't any restrictions or controls in terms of the number of operators or the number of end-user clients. We typically will, we have tested the solution to 500-600 user systems, but the recommended maximum limits are 250 and 10 operator consoles for both the UC 500. Well, no, let me take it back. For the for the Unified Call Connector client, the maximum number is higher. You are correct. I don't recall exactly what that number is, but it's higher than 250. Next question.
Okay. I have a question here on browser-related question. Do you have plans to support Firefox or Chrome in the future?
There are no definitive plans at this time to add additional, to add support for those. And again, I would put that as a roadmap item. Did you want to take a minute to respond to the polling, to give you an update on the polling area? Daniel?
To show the results from the last poll?
Correct. So the question was, what area would people be interested in getting more information on? And looks like looks like there is big interest in obtaining an overview of the mobile clients. Secondly, it is for setting up the UC500 for the mobile clients. So a lot of interest in the mobile clients, and some for the roadmap, and some for more details on how to set up the UC500 solution or the Smart Call Connector solution. Okay, back to you, Dan. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, not a problem. Okay, let's get to our next question. Are there any plans for the UC500 or CME to integrate with Link 2010?
Again, there are no plans at this time to integrate with the Link, Microsoft Link.
Okay. Does it matter if the UC500 is configured with CCA or CLI?
Can you ask that again, please, Dan?
Sure. The question is, does it matter if the UC500 is configured with CCA or CLI?
So for the Call Connector solution, it does not matter how the UC500 has been configured, but Cisco recommends that the configuration is done with CCA. But as far as the Call Connector solution is concerned, it really does not know how the UC500 has been set up, and it's not impacted by it.
Okay. Another question here. Can the software run on virtual machines?
So there is a two-part answer to this. The software basically comprises of server components and client components, and we have, in fact, the recommended configuration or deployment option for servers is virtual machines, because then it can be its own isolated virtual machine where the server solution is running. This virtual machine can be Windows or VMware virtual machines. The clients can be on virtual machines, but I guess we don't typically recommend that. We've had some partners install the client on a server-based virtual machine environment, and there were some issues with that which have been resolved in 2.2 release. But so the general answer is yes, they can be on virtual machines. We certainly recommend that the server solution be on virtual machines. The clients can also be on virtual machines, but less recommended deployment option, because you want the client to be able to use the application data that is on that's a key part of the value that it provides, and so you want to have the client running with the user's desktop information and the user's desktop applications. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. I just want to remind everyone we still have time left. If you want a few questions, please do submit those right now so we can get to them. Let's get to our next question here. Can I send instant messages to both internal people as well as external partners and customers?
Yes. So there are the Call Connector solution, which is the advanced client and the operators, can send instant messages to each other. So anyone in the organization that has the instant message clients, they can send messages to each other. Now, sending instant messages to external parties, that is done through the support for XMPP instant messaging servers, and there is a two-part configuration for that. On the Call Connector server, the partner or the administrator would enable and configure the servers that they want to allow users to access. So there is a control available to the administrator. And on the client side, the end user would enter their account information. Once they've done that, from the clients, which is the advanced client or the operator, they can then send instant messages, view the present status of parties that are on that one or more external IM servers. And so therefore, and that is the way they would access and chat with or have IM sessions with external partners, clients, customers, etc. Next question.
Okay, our next question here. Is there going to be desktop integration for mobile clients or smartphones?
The answer is it's on the roadmap. So I guess we don't comment on roadmap items, but that question certainly has come up a lot, and we understand the need and the use case. However, at this point, there is not a solution for that, for integration, for an integrated offering of the Smart Call Connector solution with the mobile clients.
Okay. Let's get to our next question. We have some users working remotely. Can they use the advanced client?
So the answer is yes. The advanced client can be used by remote users. They would need to operate through a VPN tunnel. So the users would set up a VPN session back into their business, and in that configuration, when they run the advanced client will be able to connect to and access the unified communication services, collaboration, and CTI functions, just as you would if you were within the organization itself. Only point to note here is that there is some additional support in the latest 2.2 release, which went into beta last month and is looking to go to FCS probably at the end of this month or beginning of next. And that has some more support built in to make this VPN-based operation more seamless. So there is support, and if you have need for it, please download the 2.2 release and for a more seamless operation, user experience.
Okay, we have another question from our audience. For a very small business using UC 540s that's using SIP Connect with one operator and 5 end users, do you recommend the server setup for the Smart Call Connector software, or is there a better alternative system that you would recommend?
So the question is, one, do you only need an operator, or do you need an operator and some advanced client users? So for if you do not require advanced client, if the users do not require advanced client, then a single operator console solution can address the needs of call answering and routing calls and viewing telephone status, etc. If you do need clients to be on the, if you need advanced client to be installed in each of the user's desktop, then I would probably just use one server and not get the operator, because it's a pretty small, in fact, it's a very small system, and just use the advanced client for the call answering and transferring functions. So the solution would be a single server if you need advanced clients for the end users, and if you only need the operator, then I would just go and install one operator position.
Okay, I have another question here. Can two operators directing calls use one license, or would they need to purchase two licenses?
This question comes up quite a bit. Each operator is individually licensed, so you would need, if you have 2 operator positions, that you would need 2 licenses. If you have 5 operator positions, you would need 5 licenses. The point to note here, however, is that if you have 2 operator positions and you do not need the server functionality, then you would not need to purchase the server. You could have just 2 operator SKUs, and one of them would act as a primary operator position, and which is called, and the second one would be an operator client that would connect to the primary operator position. So if you need only 2 operators and don't need the server functionality, then you get 2 operator SKUs. If you have more than 2 operators, or if you want to take advantage of the server, then you would have 2 operator SKUs plus the server. But in all cases, you would need a license per operator position.
Okay, I think we got time for one more question here. Where does the MOH source come from when the caller is in the queue?
The music on hold is provided by the UC500, so it depends on the UC500 configuration and how if you're using the hunt group, how the hunt group is set up when the call is put on hold when it's in the queue. So the music on hold is configured on the UC500.
Okay. I think we've got time for just this last one. Is there an educational institution discount for these solutions?
I don't know of that. If you could ask the questioner to forward the question to the cs-callconnector at external.cisco.com alias, then I will try and find out if there is an education discount available for the products.
Okay, very good. That's going to conclude the question and answer portion of our webcast today. Please do fill out the evaluation. You'll see that when you close out your browser window. Everyone who does fill that out will be entered to win a $20 U.S. gift certificate. Just some quick housekeeping slides here. Some upcoming events that we have coming up. If you have any additional questions for today's topic, those questions can be answered inside the Cisco support community. You can ask those questions anywhere from July 10th to July 20th. Shariar will be there in the forums answering those questions in case you had anything else that you'd come up with or wanted to ask. Our next webcast coming up is in Spanish. The topic will be Cisco Firewall Services Module, Configuration and Troubleshooting. The webcast will be on Tuesday, July 17th. After that, another webcast in Russian. Topic will be the Nexus 7000, Architecture and Features Overview. That will be on Tuesday, July 19th. We do have a few current events running right now inside the Cisco support community. Please do log in to participate in any of these events. We're covering everything from integrating VCS with Microsoft Link, security on iOS routers, as well as configuration, troubleshooting, and best practices on ASA and other firewall modules. Starting next week, we have a few other Ask the Expert events beginning, accessing LAN switches, network embedded automation and programmability with Joe Clark, and these will all be starting next week inside the Cisco support community. In our Facebook forum, we do have another Ask the Expert event taking place. This topic will be Cisco Catalyst 6500 switch architecture, and that will be on July 17th. That's Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Again, we invite you to participate in any of our social activities within the Cisco support community, covering all the different social media areas, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, LinkedIn, etc. Please do sign up, and we encourage you to participate. Again, we are global and multilingual here at the support community. If you speak Spanish, Portuguese, Japanese, Polish, or Russian, we do invite you to ask your questions and collaborate in your native language. Thank you again to everyone today. Special thanks to Shahriyar for his expertise today and to our question managers. And thank you all for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you.